Hello and welcome to On the Wrist. Today this is a tutorial on how to change a strap, and as a bonus it's what a Seiko Presage looks like on a rubber dive strap. Now before I get started, I do just want to mention that anytime you take tools near your watch, anytime you do any sort of modification, changing strap, changing battery, there is a risk of damaging your watch. So please don't do this if you're not comfortable, and just be aware that you risk damaging your watch by doing this. That being said, this is a very easy change to do, and it should be low risk if you have the right tools and you do it correctly. So the materials you need for this are, one, obviously you need a watch with a strap you want to change. This is actually a shot after I've changed the strap, so this is what the finished product looks like. So here is the strap that was previously on the watch. So your materials are a watch, a strap you want to change in, and this tool, which is a spring bar tool, which I'll go into a little more depth later. But that's pretty much all you need to change a strap. So let's get into it. One other piece of equipment I forgot to mention is the surface you're working on. Make sure whatever surface you're working on is not going to scratch the face of your watch when you are doing this change. Because frequently you're going to have the watch face down. I have it on this rubber mat that's very clean, so I'm not too worried about that. But I frequently, if I'm changing it on my dresser, I have a nice cloth down underneath, a thick cloth, to prevent the crystal from getting scratched. So just be careful what surface you're doing this on. Now let's talk about strap sizing real quick. You have to know the lug to lug, or the lug width I should say. And that's the distance from this part of the lug to that part of the lug. That dictates how wide this strap is, and it's important to get the right size. Wherever you bought the watch should have that information readily available on the website, and some straps actually have the details, this doesn't, printed on the bottom of the strap. Another thing you have to be aware of is the length of the strap. So there are typically two lengths given when you're purchasing a strap online. There's this top portion, and there's also this bottom portion. So you can see here that the top portion of the strap is actually longer than this top portion. However, the bottom is a little shorter. So it works out, but it's something to be cautious of, especially if you have something like a deployment clasp, which is going to change how the strap fits. Luckily, even with this deployment clasp and the difference in lengths, this strap still fits, but it's just something to think of as you're looking at straps. All right, here we have my Seiko Presage. You can find a link to the review of that video in the upper portion of the screen. So let's take off the strap. So first things first, we'll have to just remove this. That's simple. Just press this button here to release the quick release. Take it out of the strap. Undone. Now there are three spots that we're going to have to work with here. We have three spring bars here, here, and here. One important thing I want to mention is be careful. Anytime you're changing a strap, you're likely putting metal on metal, so there's a high risk of scratching your watch. So if you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't. An important thing too is whatever spring bar tool you're using, make sure it has a nice sharp fork. If that's dull, cut down, or bent out of shape, it's going to be very challenging to change your strap. So obviously, be careful. You can easily damage your watch. So let's start with this piece down here. So there are no apparent, on this side, access points, but if I flip it up on its side, you can see there's a pinhole where I can depress the spring bar. So I'll flip my spring bar tool over to its just cylindrical side. I will press down onto the spring bar to depress it and try and shimmy the top off. And press down kind of far and squish out. You should hear it click a little bit when it releases. And there you have it. It's removed. So let's take the spring bar out of the strap. Press through. Set it off to the side. Be careful not to lose it. If you lose it, you will have to replace it because there's no way to mount the strap without the spring bar. And let's get a little closer for this step. Now, when removing straps from a watch like this where there's no hole in the side, there are no quick release spring bars, it is critical to be careful. I also always make a habit of changing the strap from the rear of the watch. Why is that? Because I'm sticking this metal tool in between the watch and the strap to try and release the spring bar. If you do that on the top, you can get scratches on the visible side. So by doing it on the back, you reduce the risk of having any scratches, reduce the risk of seeing any scratches that you might cause from removing it. Now when you're doing this, the spring bar, as you see here, has this little collar here. And the goal is to get this tool in front of the collar and press back. That way you can depress the spring, right? Simple. But it's a little more challenging in practice on a strap like this because the strap butts right up against the lugs here. So what I find is I always pick the same side, and here I can see I've done this before on this side, so I always go with that side because it does put a little mark in the leather, which isn't a big deal, it doesn't structurally damage it, but it's a nice thing to know that you do it from the same side every time. Same with this side, I see there's a little bit of a scuff. So I'm going to take my tool, gently put it between the leather and the lug, and press the leather back so that when I push down, I'm not pressing into the lug, I'm pressing the leather out of the way. You can see there I start to get a little gap. And I try and press it down and straddle that collar and then push the tool back. Ooh, missed it. And you will feel, there we go. You'll feel that push once you engage the spring bar. The spring, you'll feel the spring engage. And once you have one loose, you can shimmy the other one out. Very simple. And then just press it through. Or if you have a set of spring bars, you can always leave these in the strap. So I have the second spring bar here. Important thing to note, this spring bar is a little bit longer, see there, than the one that came off the buckle portion. So make sure to keep those aside and put them back in the right spot. If you put a small spring bar back in a large spring bar spot, it's likely to come out. And if you put a large spring bar where a smaller spring bar is supposed to go, it's going to be very challenging to remove, maybe even get stuck. So let's get this side. Same thing. Carefully press between the leather and the lug. Pull the leather back a little bit, press down, try and straddle that spring bar. Try and find the collar. There we go. Got it. All right, if we look closely there, doesn't look like I've put any scratches onto the watch, which is always a relief. All right, let's set those aside. Here we have the watch. And in case you don't know, this is actually the watch. You know, the straps are not strictly part of the watch, maybe the connotation of the watch as a whole, but this is actually the watch itself. The strap is just an add-on. All right, let's move this aside and put the rubber strap on. All right, let's take this buckle off and put the Seiko buckle on. So same as with the Seiko buckle, there's just a spring bar here on the buckle. Let's press it, here pop, take it out. Alright, that was a struggle. Alright, we'll set those aside. And now we have the Presage clips to put back on. Let's undo this clasp. It's going to sit like this. And just do a visual check of the lengths. So that's longer, but that's longer. So I think we'll end up okay. The sizing on mine made me think it was going to be all right. Let's get our spring bar in. There we go. Ooh. Gotta be careful with those tools, they can be sharp, that can hurt. Alright, to press the top of that spring bar, get underneath, hear it pop, and realize the other side is done. So it's important to keep pressure so that way that doesn't happen. And you can use your tool. You want to press right on the collar on the spring bar. You think it's in, there you go. You frequently have to play with it a little bit, but once you get it, you'll hear that positive click. All right, so that's on. So that's easy. So now here we have the watch itself. So let's put the spring bar in. Let's check. So this is the bottom, so the longer portion of the strap will go there. So I like to get one whole set. Apply pressure. Get my tool. This is a tight fit. So a tip is whenever you're putting this in, I always try and do it from the bottom of the watch. If you do it from the top, you are risking putting scratches on because these tools are stainless and the spring bar is also steel. So if you do it from the top, you risk scratching, and there's that positive click. Oh, that looks kind of cool. And let's get this other spring bar on. Same thing. Flip it over. Look at that wonderful movement. So what's important with the strap is hearing that positive click of the spring bar engaging. Otherwise, it's going to fall right off. And it's important to check after you install that it's properly engaged. Otherwise, you could put it on your wrist, stand up, and the watch will fall right on the floor. And if you have on a concrete floor or anything like that, you could risk some serious damage. So it's on, but we have to move it around until we hear that click. Ooh, there it is. Nice. All right, let's get a couple looks on this on the wrist. All right, here's how it is in this light. It's kind of dark, so let's go to some outdoor shots where it's a little easier to see how it looks. All right, here we have it in the natural light on the dive strap. And I gotta say, I am really enjoying it on this strap. I have a real soft space for sports watches, and I think that this is a winner. Okay, nice rose gold Seiko there. Some final thoughts on the actual strap itself. I got this strap from Watch Gecko. It was a little more expensive than I wanted to spend, but I do love the look of it. And I have a real sweet spot for sports watches with rubber straps. And I feel like adding this rubber strap to the Seiko Presage has made it look a lot sportier, and I've really enjoyed wearing it all week with this strap on it. I feel like I can wear it a little more casually now, but it's still very flashy, but I don't need to feel like I don't need to dress up as much with that brown leather strap. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it educational and that it'll help you change your strap. And if you were just watching to see what a Seiko Presage looks like on a dive strap, well, I hope you got that out of it too. This has been On The Wrist. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.